Hello, everyone. How are we all doing? Welcome to fifth, the fifth session of the Data Science, AI, and Cloud Sunday. Now, just because it is called the fifth session, what it means basically is that for over 150 episodes, we had aired the Data Science Sunday, and the Data Science Sunday has evolved to the Data Science, AI, and Cloud Sunday. Right. So just so you know, for that, no, that's just a backstory. All right. My name is Pablo. I am a data scientist. I am the head of community at Schoolab Innovations Hub. I also head the data science programs at Schoolab Innovation Hub. Also, I am also an aspiring cloud engineer. Um, Trying to be modest there. I'm also a Google developer expert for data and cloud, right? The Data Science Sunday is dedicated to anybody learning data science from scratch. Now, that had been our initial drive, and it still remains the initial drive. But recently, 4 episodes ago, we added some components to it, which is cloud and AI services, because anyone getting started in the data space would almost always think about um, a couple of things at this point: scaling, right, and the heavy lifting. And if we're going to be doing scaling and heavy lifting, then it's ideal that we explore systems, cloud systems, and AI systems, right? And not just for answering questions, but helping us to think through data, right? Data is used to navigate. Data is used to navigate through a maze of solutions. It's like you're walking through the forest that is dark, right? In order to get through that, you need some touchlights. Python, one of them, SQL, dashboards, and now you need cloud and AI services that would help you explore and get closer to solving your problem. Now, for anybody who's getting started and it feels like it's too much, see, I'm going to tell you it's nothing much to it, right? So another thing I want to say is using Google's multi-talented AI and cloud services, we are trying to now put data science on the foundation on one spot, or rather put cloud and AI on one spot, then layer um, Google AI and cloud services on top of it. That way, it makes us grow. Now, today's session, we are going to be talking about Gemini. That's Google's very powerful um, AI system, and blend it with the reasoning and data science and machine learning, and then see how this helps us turn raw data into clarity. So I'm going to share how we're going to do that, and that's what this session is for. Now, if it's your first time on the Data Science Sunday, I would advise that you indicate, right, and share with us why you're here. How did you hear about it? If it's also not your first time and you've been doing stuff around data science and you're looking to share, that's fair. Again, to share, just feel free to raise your hands like this, and then go ahead to tell us what you're doing. If you don't feel comfortable with that, you could also make use of our in chat, which is the in chat message here. You just say hi, tell us what you're all about. Hi, Clinton. How you doing? Please go ahead.
Okay, hi everyone. My name is Mr. Peter. My name
Mm,
is Clinton. Um, I don't know what to say, but I've been in a few boot camps for as a data scientist, but I've never really done like full blown project alone. So I do want to understand. Basically, my aim goal is to understand how to be able to train, test, and maybe fine tune a model to be able to give out good predictions. I was really, really intrigued when I saw this whole platform. I think I saw it yesterday from the Google developers GDG group here, and it was just I just wish I knew, like, maybe, well, I wasn't regretting because I mean I met it at the right time, but I wish I knew it sooner. So thank you so much for this opportunity to learn.
All right, thank you so much, Clinton. First and foremost, you are never look, you're not late to the party. I promise you that you are not late to the party. You are on time, right? Because if you think about the way the world works, you know that there are new technologies that are coming out, there are new ways of doing stuff, and there are ways for which you can do stuff. All you just need is the heart, you just need the determination, the consistency, all these values, and you can pick stuff along, string stuff along, and move with it, right? I can tell you that when I started, my mentor at the time had 15 years of being a software engineer, and then he was transitioning into data science and machine learning. Now, if I had thought like I couldn't have been able to catch up, and that's what I thought at the time, because I was like, I don't think I can make this because this guy is 15 years. What? But I'm telling you that I've been in this space for 7 years now. So you see that when you start out in the next 10 years, you'll be like, you tell this to another person and say, look, you would succeed in a space, or you just have to just put your head down. So not a problem. Nice one. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for. I'm happy that you shared, and I'm grateful for that. Right. Any other person? Does anybody have anything to share? All right. If there's nothing to share, let's just get. Okay, Shino, go ahead.
Hi everyone, good evening. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay, I'm also a data learner. I'm presently taking business intelligence on Coursera. Also completing my data science track, that's career track on data camp. So aside that, I joined the community for the business intelligence Saturdays, which was from my data Saturdays. So that's how my learning has been for the last couple of weeks. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Shino. Again, a couple of folks just shared what they're doing. Please feel free to share. And but while you're at it, I'll just share a few things. We have a data community. We call it the Data Weekend. Please feel free to join in. There's a conversation. Everybody in there is an enthusiast. No one is an expert. We are just sharing our knowledge and all. And again, one huge thing we do here at Collab Innovation Hub, and Collab is one of the first innovation hubs in Kaduna, Nigeria, even in northern Nigeria. One huge thing, part of our vision is to build. One of our vision is to build a tech ecosystem, and one of our pillars is community. So please feel free to share with folks when you get into the community. If there's anything, please engage and interact. And it's just purely data science stuff. It's nothing else, just pure data science stuff. That's what we do over there. So I'm going to be sharing the link to that, to the group. So it's a WhatsApp and Telegrams group. So please feel free to join any of them. I have to say, they're literally the same community, but the WhatsApp seems to be a lot active. But you can join any of them if you want. I already have it in here, so feel free to just join. And please let me know if the link still works. I get to hear from people that the links they're expired. Just let me know if it doesn't work, so I can just update the link where I stored them. Also, this is streamed again for anybody coming in at this point. The data science AI and cloud Sunday is streamed live. It is really important to share this bit of information because you're on here and someone else is probably looking at you doing your thing here. So it is important that you know that this platform is streamed live as we speak, so a lot of people around the world can come across it, right? So, and again, if we're done with this and you want to see what we have done for today, please check out my YouTube channel. That's where it's streamed. I have it pinned in the chat, so please check that out. And again, you can also we have we also have other sessions that are there, so please feel free to check it out. Again, like, comment. When you like and comment, this platform really goes around for folks to see, and yeah, so that people could also jump in on that. Right. Another thing I'd like to share, if you are starting data science from scratch, I would also want to share this. It's a Jupyter notebook, but in the cloud, which will make it pretty easier for you to get started with your learning. I'll encourage you to do that. It's collab.google, so it's the Jupyter notebook, but in the cloud. And when you use this, you take advantage of Google's compute resources, compute and GPU, TPU resources that makes it pretty easier for you to accelerate your learning and do a lot of experiments if you can. Then what else? Yes, and if you are also learning to use Google's cloud and AI services and Google's products itself, that makes it pretty easier for you to scale. Like I had mentioned, I'd encourage you to get signed up to Google Skills. So this is it. I encourage you to get signed up to Skills. I'm going to share that with you guys. I'll share what that looks like in a bit. So right. At this point, do we have any questions? All right. Today's session is a replay of another session we've had in the past. It's called Data Science with Gemini. We're going to be using Gemini to understand how to using Gemini trade data science workflow. Right. We had tried it some time ago, and for some reason, on the day, it didn't work. So after today, I'll try it again. If it doesn't work again, we'll try some other time again. But yeah, that's basically what happened. So I'm going to share my screen in a bit, and then I could just do a little walkthrough on how to get started. I'll do a little walkthrough on how to get started. All right. Again, feel free to ask questions. You can also drop your questions in the call message area. If you're watching this live, you can drop the questions in the comment section. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm having challenge sharing the screen. I'll try it again. Something went wrong. No. Okay, I'll try one more time. I don't know why I'm having challenges sharing my screen. Unusual, but I'll do that again. All right. All right, then we've been successful trying to share the screen, and here we go. All right, so for folks who are here for the first time, this you see on the screen is Google Skills, right? And if this is your first time seeing Google Skills, that's not a problem. I share the link in the chat, and also you could just check it out. I'd encourage you to pick up on this. Now, Google Skills gives you access to the Google technology as is used, when Google builds all the technologies that a lot of us enjoy. So this is one. Now, if you want to get started on this, let me just do a quick one. If you're looking to get started on it, so if you're getting started, just simply type skills.google, and you would come to this space. This is what you're going to see. I encourage you to join. When you click join, you would either sign in, if you can choose to sign in with your email and your password, or you can choose to say you want to sign in using your Google account. If you click with your Google account, get access to signing in. So let's say, for instance, I choose this. Yeah, so typically I'll sign on, I have a passkey sign, so that works. So if I sign in with this, I put this access, I provide access. Now, so typically you would be asked to put your information, right? So I can put my name, let's say, day 26 of 6. You can also accept, right? So if you do that, then you have access to it. So this is just what it looks like. Now, you can see all this. This will pop up. Now, I would encourage you not to skip this. I would encourage you to, click next, so you can see a redesigned platform with ways to support your learning. They've gamified it. In the past, there was no gamified way. So you can see that on my own, I have like a 30-day streak, right? So you can click next, engage in friendly competitions. Now you learn for free. Now there's something called the Innovators Program. The Innovators Program will provide you access to 35 credits. Now you need credits to take some of the labs and courses that are and parts that are in the Google Skills. So there's a program called the Innovators Program. I'll advise you to join. That's why I encourage a lot of people, do not skip this. So if you click join, you would have to join the Innovators Program. And if you do, if you successfully join the Innovators Program, then you would have access to 35 credits every, yeah. So you see that you have access to 35 credits every month. So here you can put in the experience, you can put in the city and town where you're from, say Kaduna. Kaduna South, Nigeria. Yeah. Then I can choose, I put this data scientist, name of your community, your employer or school. You could feel free to put Collab Innovation Hub. And you could say, look, I want to have access to news and programs and announcements, and you join. Now, before now, before you joined this, you didn't have like credits. There are some things called credits. If I had checked, you would have seen 0 credits. But by the time I click join, you would go to you see you now have 35 credits for being an innovator, right? And then you can start learning. So with this, you see that you have this, right? And you have 35 credits. When you go to your settings, you'd have 35 credits and all. Also, you can do a bunch of things. You should make your um, profile public. So this is it. It's ideal to make it public by checking this. You can also check this, right? When you check this, all the badges you have will be sent to Credly, and with Credly you can get to showcase. It's like a portfolio. You know, over here you can choose a name. This is for the games you play, right? And you can choose an avatar. This is not your real name, but you can choose anything you want. And yeah, so you would have 35 credits already. When you click on subscription here, and you see that you have 35 credits. Look at that. Started today. Every 30th, you're going to get 35 credits for me, right? And you can see these 35 credits. Once you exhaust it, you wait for the next month, and you get another one, right? So back home. So I had to use this to do it. I had to use what do you call it? I had to use what's this? Incognito mode to do it. Now, with this, there are catalogs to what you can learn. So you can explore using everything you explore here. You're typically inside Google Cloud Platform, which is a platform that Google has used, where in it you can just make use of all the services that are there without having to think about infrastructure, manage any servers or anything. A lot of things are managed for you. And you can also learn to use that platform because a lot of organizations, institutions use that to scale their product because it's pay as you use. So if you pay as you use, you're typically not, if you're not doing anything, then you're not charged. So there are lots of stuff you can learn here. You can see the catalog. There are a bunch of labs you can take or a bunch of courses you can take. There are also parts to it. If you put up parts, you see that there are a bunch of parts here from AI to data to dev tools, infrastructure, productivity, security, right? For instance, if you say, okay, I want to learn Google skills using Google's AI infrastructure, using AI with Google's Google infrastructure, and there's a bunch of things you can learn. You can even explore more parts and all. And today we're just going to be doing one of these labs, so you're just going to see how it looks like. Right, so that's basically what it is. If you have questions, feel free to share. All right, so this is my my Google Skills dashboard, right? So you can see what it looks like. I'm learning a bunch of things. I'm learning a bunch of things here, but today we are going to be doing Gemini for data scientists. So this, my friends, is what we're going to be doing today. We're going to be learning this. Now, why? Now, for anybody that's getting started in data science, it's super important that you pick up skills and also pick up some cloud skills and learn how to use platforms like this. Now, platforms like this make it easy for you to scale, and do a lot of heavy lifting, right? There's something, there's the Google Cloud Console, right? Just so you guys can see, I'll open my Google Cloud Console here. It's called Console. Right, so this is Google Cloud Console. Now, with the Google Cloud Console, there are a ton there are a ton of cloud services and services here. You can see them over here, and solutions. There's storage, there's data warehouse, networking, um, virtual machine instances, compute, which is Google's resource compute. There's billion. There's a bunch of things here. There's also Vertex AI. Like, trust me, the Vertex AI is like basically machine learning in the cloud. So yeah, there's generative AI. There's a bunch of things you can use. There's also Collab Enterprise, which is a different part where this is like the Collab that we talked about over here. It's like Jupyter Notebook, but you have so much resources to it, so many resources to it. So this is what it looks like. Now, whenever you use this, whenever you use any of these labs, you'll be given an access, like something called a limited access. Like for instance, what we're going to do today is we're going to be working with this. We're going to have an hour, 30 minutes to use this lab and do what we're going to do with it. So let's get stuck in. Now, first thing you'll notice, you have to get started. You have to have credits to do this. So you see that this takes 5 credits, right? It's an intermediate level stuff, but do not fret. That's okay. This platform makes it easy for you to learn, and that's what is super encouraging, right? So let me just make this. You guys can confirm if you can see. Can you see my screen? Just thumbs up if you can see and read what's on my screen. Thumbs up, guys, if you can see and read what's on my screen. Well, you guys cannot see what's on my screen. Okay, okay, cool. Right, so thanks. Now, what this lab we're going to do is that the idea is that you're working as a data scientist, right? And you're working as a data scientist and you have been asked, to help your team identify and develop customers, right? You identify, categorize, and develop customers. Now, you have to split your customers into groups based on their behaviors, the way they when it comes to buying stuff, and also generate statistics based on descriptive statistics about them. Now, and all this is so that you can give the teams like an actionable next steps. Now, to do this, you would have to use, you see, these are the things you're going to use. So this is what like a 21st century data scientist will typically be working with: Gemini, right? Vertex AI, and BigQuery. Now, this tree is like saying, look, you've got an AI tool to help you in your workflow. You've got a Vertex AI with machine learning models and a data warehouse so that you can do a bunch of things. So you're going to have access to data, access to machine learning models, and the ability to also use AI tools to help you prompt your way to solving your problems. Right, so, and since we're using this, basically makes it easy for us to work with. Now, again, it would make a lot of sense if you understood a lot of stuff about Gemini for Google Cloud. So there is this, which will basically put you through the documentations for it. After this session, I'll just share it in the comment section of the live of the recorded session already. And again, if you're just coming in, it's important to know that this session is streamed live, and so which means it's also recorded, and anyone watching anywhere in the world would have access to this. Right, so let's go back to what we're doing. Now, when you're going to use, this is also for anyone who's the first time seeing this, you're also going to get a walkthrough on how to use labs on Google Skills. So we have objective. Our objective is to use Collab Enterprise and Python notebooks inside BigQuery Studio. We're going to find out what that is. Use BigQuery data frames inside of BigQuery Studio. I know a lot of people hear about Pandas data frames, but now you're going to be looking at BigQuery data frames. We're going to use Gemini to generate code for using natural language prompts. And we're going to build a clustering model. So K-means is an unsupervised machine learning model you can use to cluster based on proximity or based on something called hyperplanes. And also, and we're going to generalize, visualize, and for our next step, we'll be using the Gemini Pro. Right, so these are what we're going to do. And so we're just going to get started. So here we go. So the first thing I'll do to get started and also work with the tasks that are set up, just on the side here, you see the stuff here that's like checkpoints that tells you everything you have to do. And yeah, so we'll get started. To get started, I'll click the Start Lab. Now, there's something I would advise everybody to do. When you use the lab, please stick with the instructions. You can see that there's a lab instruction, there are lab instructions here. And you'll also see the lab instructions as you start. So please stick with the lab instructions. If you deviate from the lab instructions and maybe start to do stuff that isn't in the instructions, your account's going to be blocked. All right. So let's get started. We're already here. So to make use of this, I'm going to right-click on this and open incognito mode. Oh, there's a problem. There's a problem already. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to close this. I'm going to come over here and sign out. So whenever you're using this, just if you sign out from this, so I'll now close this so that I would not have any interference with anything. You should use incognito mode so you don't if you have maybe a GCP, just like me, I have a GCP over here. See, this is open, and so I wouldn't want to use any, I wouldn't want it to interfere with any of my services or try to, make use of the payment facility I have, right? So the next thing I'll do is, where am I? Yep. Let me close some of this. So, yep. Let me put this here. Right. So I'll start this. I'll right click on this and head to incognito mode. Now, it's always important to state that when Google Skills started, then it was called Quick Labs, right? You had to just put all, you would have to put all this username and password, but it's typically made it easier right now. So you just click this and you get started. Again, please, if at any point you feel like asking any question, please feel free. Please feel free at any point to just raise your hand and just feel free and do that. Yeah. Just ask questions. So first we'll have accepted the terms and conditions. So personally, right, when I get started, I like to go to and use the dark screen. I like the dark screen, the dark mode rather. So I'll take it to preference. Right. So I'll just go straight to the beginning. Now, at this beginning, it's just going to look similar to like what you just saw in a bit. So, yeah. Now, the next is we're going to now follow these instructions. We're going to follow these instructions. So the first instruction is we're going to go into our Cloud Console and select our BigQuery. So again, we'll navigate to the Cloud Console here, and then we'll go straight to BigQuery. the BigQuery Studio is here. And when we click on it, it's going to take us there. Now, I know if it's your first time, you're probably thinking, okay, this sort of like looks difficult, but no, just take your time and read through the instructions. And also, it's also a way for you to search through and figure out what you have going on. So you see this big pop-up and you click done. It's the BigQuery UI. You can see there are a lot of things that are here. There are notebooks and all. There's a new this thing, but let's just leave this for now. And you can see what we have here. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to explore in the Explorer panel for you see that this is our project ID. And then when we get there, we're going to view actions, then create a data set, because we want to create a data set and store, in order to store database objects, including tables and models. So that's what we're going to do. So again, here you can see if we go, this is the Explorer. And here, when we click on this, we'll create a data set. Now, when we create a data set, you see we have to now we have to set up our data set, give it access to locations where we will be pointing to get our resources and all, because it's basically saying, look, there are data centers in different places, and we'll be walking around to get all this, put this in place. Right, again, remember, if you have questions, please feel free to ask. All right, so next we have this. So we are going to create a data set, and these are the things we're going to use. We're going to call this data set with this ecommerce. Is what we're going to call it. See over here, we'll paste this. Also, we're going to select our location type. We're going to go for multi-region. And we're going to select the US here. It's already selected. And then we'll just go ahead and create the data set. So we'll create the data set. Right. Now, also, because we have a task checkpoint, once we do this, we are also going to confirm we know what we're doing, or we're doing it well, and this will be confirmed. And you'll see sooner or later, you'll get your marks over here. So that's our first task. Now, our second task will be to create a new Python notebook. Now, I also want us to really pay attention to this, to pay attention to what we're doing here. Now, in this task, you create a new Python notebook in BigQuery so that you may use Gemini in BigQuery. The Python notebook is needed in BigQuery so that you may use Python machine learning libraries to identify customers, categorize them in groups based upon shopping data. So here in the Google console, select navigation and select BigQuery. Again, it's like we're leaving here, but just so you know, we can come over here, select BigQuery, which is already where we are. Right, the next thing we're going to do, at the top of the page, click the down arrow next to the plus sign. So here at the top of the page, you see there's a down arrow next to a plus sign. So if I click on this, you see that I have a notebook here. So it says select notebook, empty notebook. So that's what we're going to do. Notebook, empty notebook. So this comes out, right? Next, we are to select US Central 1 to store our code assets. So drop this out, we select US Central 1. Then we click select, right? And we get started. So we click select and we get started. So this will now show up. So you see that now, while these things come up, it's always important for us to know that having the fundamental knowledge for data science is really, really important, right? But now we're taking it a step and now using tools that make it really, so we can do some heavy lifting and take advantage of data sets that exist in the cloud and use different infrastructures without really bothering about, what our local drive on our on-prem tool can do. Right. So let's also now check. Now, next, the next task is connect to the Collab Enterprise runtime. So in BigQuery. Now, I'm going to read this verbatim so that we can follow them as we go. So the next step is to connect to the Collab Enterprise runtime in BigQuery. Now, think of this as runtime, think of this runtime as a managed environment in BigQuery that allows you to access machine learning libraries and that it helps you to do perform the tasks which you're about to perform. So while remaining in the upper right corner of the notebook, click the drop down next to connect. There's a drop down next to connect. Okay, hold on. There's a drop down here. Yes. Now you would see connect to a runtime. You'll create a runtime. So here we will drop this down, connect to a runtime. We are to create a new runtime. So you can see that create a new runtime. Select create default runtime. So you see create default runtime. Right, and we open this. We agree to this. Why is it unable to connect? So we'll wait for a few minutes. Yeah. This should come up soon. So it's allocating a runtime. This should come up. Now, while this is up, you can click and figure out if you've gotten it. Yeah, it notices that we've gotten that. So yeah, so this was us. So when you create a runtime, it typically, so someone asks a question. So before I start to talk about it, someone asks a question. The question is a simple one. The question is, what is the essence of creating a runtime? Now, there are many things. If we are to follow what is said here, you get me. Think of this runtime as a managed environment in BigQuery that allows you access machine learning library. So that's what the runtime does. If you are using Colab.Google, you create a runtime, gives you access to compute resources, but this gives you access to a managed environment that comes with resources and makes it easy to access ML libraries and a bunch of things. So that's why creating a runtime is ideal. The last time we worked on this was one of our biggest issues. It was trying to allocate the runtime, but let's keep working with that. Now, the next task is for us to build a Python notebook. Now, in the task, we'll build the Python notebook by performing the following steps. So we're going to perform these steps. And if you've ever started data science, if you've done data science using Python, you see some of these things won't be new, right? These are stuff you've probably done. So still allocating. So this was where we were the last time. The hope is that it will allocate runtime soon. And once it does that, we'll be good to go. All right, so but while we're at that, so what we're going to do is once we have that, we'll get to import Python libraries and, define the variables. The first step will be for us to build Python notebooks to import Python libraries and, define the variables. We'll also, when we do that, we're going to have something that looks like this, right? So let's just keep waiting on this. Like if you're doing a walkthrough, please just let me know if this is working for you as you go. If this, I think the last time Shino said that his own worked. Shino, is yours? Have you? If you're doing a walk for anyone, just let me know if this has connected for you. Let me see. All right, has that worked for you?
Okay. I noticed. Probably. I don't know if your runtime from the collab is probably affecting this.
I think so. From here,
Yeah, the way you have those others. I don't know if you've connected them already.
I'm not
Together.
connected to this.
Okay. I saw the text with two principles. One of them was probably.
Okay, so while we're at it, let me see. Okay, so what I would want to do is, let me see if there is a way I could refresh this. Let me refresh this. Let me see. Again, we had that the last time. Wait a few minutes till okay, you will now see a connection status updated. You will also notice this has come up. So let me refresh this and hopefully, yeah. Try closing the open collab window. You think that's the case? Okay. I've done that. Let me also close this one. So it's going to be coming up. So just a little bit of time. At this point, you should have allocated something. And so we could take it from there. Okay, so let's come over here, connect your runtime. Yes. Yes. So they say there's the runtime already exists, so we can connect to that runtime. Yeah. So it's connecting to the runtime, so which I kind of think is going to connect. It's lovely. So we have this. So hurrah, we've had a chance to connect to it. So we can now get started. So let's go. Shino, could it be that is because I closed those ones? I doubt. Well, that's fine. So next, what we're going to do for our next task is we're going to build the Python notebook, right? So we're going to do all this. So the first step to building the Python notebook is to import libraries, right? Now, to import libraries in your notebook, use the following step. Add a code cell into the notebook by clicking the code plus button at the top of the notebook. So there's going to be a code plus button. See that? So just like we typically do, you can add this, but we can always work with this. Now we can paste this. Now here, this is typically like, this is just like calling the different classes, the model classes that we're going to be working with. So you can see all the model classes we're going to be calling. Very popular import pandas is PD. And you can see we can also, from Vertex AI language models, we're going to import a text generation model. And we're going to do a bunch of things. So I'll copy this and I'll paste it over here. Yeah. And then I'll run this. So I know, guys, at this point, you can see that this basically looks like the Google Colab itself. So while this is it, we're running this cell, right? So this should, once it's done, so we basically have all this model classes and all we've sort of brought in our data, all the models to our namespace. Now the next thing we will do, so the runtime, so this is what the runtime does. It basically gets you to have access to them. And you'll be certain that it works because you're going to see like it is a check mark at the side here, just like the Colab.Google. Now, if you're reading this, there's going to be a breakdown for all the libraries we brought in and what they do. Because the ones that are pretty popular, like pandas and all. So we're going to have to, you get to see that. Now, next, we're going to define variables and initiate BigQuery and the Vertex AI connection, right? So we already have our next code area here. So next we're going to do is we're going to paste our environmental variables so that it will help us work. So we copy this and paste it here. So we have our project ID. Now we replace our project ID with what we have here, right? Now, in the real sense, if I was using a Jupyter notebook, the GCP on my own, I'll have to replace the project ID too, because I also have a project ID. So I have to replace it at every point. So the reason why I do that is resource allocation, right? So that's how it knows it's using resources from somewhere. So I'm going to now take this and replace, why did you have to do that? I'm going to replace it with this. All right. Right, so this we're going to, then for location, we're going to take US Central 1. So here, same thing, we'll come over here and replace this with US Central 1. And then we'll run this. Right. Now we are now going to import our e-commerce data, right? So next, we're going to store the data from this. There's a data existing in the BigQuery public data set, and we're going to see that. So what we're going to do is we're going to add another code cell at the end of the notebook. So which is, just come over here and we'll put a code cell here. Next is we are now going to follow this code snippet. Now, what we are doing, and which is such an interesting aspect of using the Google Cloud Platform, is the data set we want to pick, it already exists. So here, if we come over here, we have this. There's a data here. You see over here, there's a data in here. It's an e-commerce data set, and it's typical. If I was to use this and I come over to BigQuery, which is over here, there's something called the BigQuery data set. You'll see it will pop up in a bit. Yeah. So you can see there, you see the BigQuery data set. If I bring this down, we'll have access to a lot of data sets. If I come over here and I do a drop down, would have access to a lot of this data. So this is basically what we're trying to pick from this data, the bunch of data here, then move it into our Python notebook. So that's what we're trying to do at this point. So here, we'll copy this code here. So now what we're doing over here is that we're taking advantage of the petabyte data warehouse, which is BigQuery. And inside, we're going to extract our data like it's SQL, right? And then bring it into our Python notebook. So that's what's going to happen here. So we're going to run this. So you see that we're bringing that in. Now we're going to create a BigQuery data frame, and then we'll load the data frame using a Gemini prompt. Right now, we're going to create a BigQuery data frame using Gemini prompt, and then load the customer stats data into it so that you can be able to use your machine learning model to work with it. Right. Again, if we use prompts, always understand that prompts will give us different outputs. So that should be put into perspective. So the next thing we're going to do is over here. Now within the cell, click generate. So you can see this generate exists here. So we'll click generate. So it pops up. It gives us access to write what we want. So we're going to paste this. This says convert the table ecommerce.customer_stats to a big frame data frame and show the top 10 records, right? So if it's your first time or you're probably out of sorts with it, you generally want to know how, you can use that. So once that happens, you can click generate, and this is going to now generate how you're going to do it. So you can see, if you look over here, it shows you that. Now, it's going to show you something that looks similar to this, right? Of course, it could be like that. If it does, now again, say, remember that in the previous step, you added a code to this and you saved a bunch of things, right? So with all this, you can see all these things you had once created, it was there. And if you click this, it will run. Now, if it runs, it means that you already have, if I click results, it shows us that we have, it shows that what we've done, which is what we have here. So it shows the first 10 rows. Really cool stuff, right? Now, so you see that we have created that. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Shina, you want to ask a question? Okay. Okay. All right. I think must have been a problem. A little thing. So, I mean, if with that, like you said that if that doesn't happen, you could just click on this and just put your project ID and all, and it should work. Right. So we run the cell and we'll see that the output will give us our first 10. Again, if I was to do this, just so you know, just to make it for us to understand this, if I was to, I could regenerate the same code. Now, for the project ID area, I would have to put, if you come up, you remember over here, we have created project ID over here. So if we run this, then again, you should see the same thing we had done. You just get your first 10 rows. So that's what it's saying, right? Now we're going to generate the k-means clustering model, right? So now you have your data in the BigQuery data frame. So you know that there's not just pandas data frame, there's a BigQuery data frame. Now you will now create a model to split your customer data into into different clusters, right? On different clusters from recency, order counts, and all. And now to do this, you typically have access to a lot of stuff. Now, the next thing is we're going to go to another code cell here. And what we're going to use is we're going to use this generate. Now, once we get here, this will allow us to generate code for this. We'll place this natural language prompt in here. And again, you can always generate yours, but this is just to make it easy for us to work with. So we want to split the data frames into training and testing. We're going to state what we want. We're going to state what we want. You say you cannot see it. Please, guys, if you can see my screen, I'm not seeing the cloud window. If you can see my screen, please indicate by putting a thumbs up, or you can refresh your screen. Right. So we have put this, then we can now click generate, right? Then we can click the generate and it will show us this. So you can now see with everything we've asked for, it has showed us, it has taken the data frame, it has created it, it has split it into 20% test size, giving us a random state. We have a model already set up in here, a k-means model. It has fit the data set, it has fixed a method so as to, instantiate it and to get to train our model. And then the model will be constructed based on everything we have here, our data set name, our models, and our model name, and our project ID. And then we'll store the trained model into results. So you can see that it's done that, right? So it will basically do this, and then we can run it. Now, when we run this will take some time, basically. Then it will sort of like do the work that you would typically do if you were using, if you were doing this on a Jupyter Notebook. Import your model class, instantiate, split, and train if you want, depending on what you're doing. And this just tells you that this typically makes it easier, it's faster, it's scalable, and you don't have to bother about the heavy lifting. And that's just the whole idea of using cloud and AI services. So we're using the cloud service of BigQuery, where we have our data warehouse, right? And we're having access to it real time. We're using the runtime that gives us access to Vertex AI, which is basically our machine learning model repository, quote unquote, just to put it that way. And you can see that we also have access to Gemini. And so that means we can ask questions if we are lost in what we're doing. So again, makes it really easy and fast. Now, So your model is now created. We'll refresh the content of our Explorer panel by clicking the three dots next to the project name. So over here, so we should, next to the project, if we come over here, we can click refresh. Oh no, let's go over here. So we can refresh content. And once we do refresh the content, everything we've gotten will typically be here. We have our notebooks and all we've done. When we refresh the content, on that e-commerce data set, we should have our model waiting there. So this is our model over here, and it's done. So next, what we will do is we're going to define a new BigQuery data frame that joins the segment clusters produced by the model. So that's what we're going to do here. So next, so let me just close this so it's going to look bigger. Again, we'll click generate so that it makes this pretty easier for us. And so we've clicked generate. Right, so once we do this, we'll now call the k-means prediction model on the data frame. So that's what we want to do. So that's the prompt. So we come here and we store it, and then we generate. Then it's going to generate something that looks like this. You can see, same thing, and then we'll run it. Again, this basically makes everything pretty fast for us. So this is the heavy lifting that we talk of. So you'll see that we have 10 records are shown. So the records are there. The only way we can see the record is if we now type results. If we put the result here, we're going to now see. Now, if you're used to building a k-means model, we're going to have different centroids. Now, the centroids are the different cluster points, so to speak, right? And these are all the different clusters we have, right? So here we click this, so which means we have done how many have we done? Let's see, which is this. This is task 4. And so this is the 4th task. And yep. Next, we're going to create a visualization of the k-means model because, again, unsupervised machine learning models use visualization. Visualization is how you get to, see the insights that you have. So we're going to create the visualization of the model's results, right? And so what we're going to do is we're going to have a scatter plot. So next, again, we would open code. Then we'll click generate. Now, at this point, you see that we're typically not writing code. We're just basically saying, look, this is what we want. This is what we want. And we just keep going, right? So here we say using a prediction _df and matplotlib generate a scatter plot. On one axis, it will display days since last order. On the other axis, it will display average spend and all. So again, we put it over here and we generate. And you can see it has done this, right? And then we'll run this. And it's going to, so we have an error. What's the error? Prediction. Attribute 2 data frame. What's that? Why do we have this error? Prediction _prediction to. Okay. Okay, we did not. No, it's not supposed to do that. So it's supposed to have, no, there's something we can work on this error. So this is predictions. Yeah. We're supposed to convert something to a data frame. I think we're supposed to convert results to a data frame. Prediction.data frame. Ooh. Okay. I think what we could have done is I can put results there. No. Okay, let me run this. Predictions.df. Predictions.df. Nice, we have it now. Predictions.df is the model. Why is it having predictions.df to underscore data frame? Why are we having an error? That's weird. Convert the BigQuery data frame to a pandas data frame for splitting. Predictions.df. This is it now. Predictions.df. Okay, just to be sure, we put this and we have predictions. Let's be sure, predictions underscore df. This is what it is. That's what we have, predictions underscore df. Okay. So what we have, because I'm wondering why we're having this error. So we have convert this, which we have. Okay, let me run this again and wonder why I'm having this error. Two underscore predictions, two underscore data frame. Why is that a problem? Predictions underscore df. Yes, now this is what it is. So we took predictions underscore df, which is this, and then we're trying to convert it to this. Why are we having an error then? It says, okay, explain this error. Let us know what the error is. So what's this? Two underscore data frame is what? Okay, I'm wondering why we're having that. So add this using, prompt using this. I don't think that should work. Okay, let me take this here, and I'll use this here. Let me see. Two underscore data frames is two underscore pandas. Okay, says it's 2_pandas. That's what the error is. So let us okay. All right, let's accept and run. So let's run this. All right, so you see, we had to solve the problem with that, but that's 2_pandas. 2_pandas. Ooh. Okay, so basically we had an error. So again, while we had the error, I had to now use the underscore data frame. It's not what it was, but 2_pandas. All right. So here is our visual. So we've gotten our visual here. Look, guys, I just figured that I use that I had to use like generative AI Gemini to basically solve that. And you can see it basically helped us solve the problem by converting, because the problem apparently happened to be here. We're using the wrong code, the wrong code, which tells you that even if you can use the generative AI tool, sometimes you can bring out something that seems plausible, but might be somehow not correct. And also, this is telling, right? When I saw 2_data frame, I thought that was the right way to do it. I didn't know it was 2_pandas to convert it, BigQuery data frame. But I thought, but that would be if you were converting some other stuff. But again, it just made it easy for me to figure out what that was. So now we've done this, right? So we're going to click on our progress. Now the fifth. So we have we have 2 more to go. Next, what we're going to do is we're going to generate insights, right? We're going to summarize each cluster generated by the K-means model, define a prompt for the marketing campaign, and generate marketing campaign using Gemini. So which is going to help. So what we're going to do is we're going to add another code here, and then we're going to paste this code snippet. So what this code snippet is going to do is basically going to summarize our cluster for us, right? And you can see that once we get that done, we wrap this up as a query, and then we get to now run it. So here, we run this. So it brings all this. We have all the 5 clusters, the average spend, the count order, and the day since last order. That's what we have going on, right? Next, we'll add another code and we'll paste this to it. So that's what we're going to do. We'll add another code here. So you can see that for cluster 1, the average spend is $43.97. Count of order is 1.27. Days since last ordered tells you all that, right? So it tells you all that. Now, because with this information that we have gotten, right, we're going to now generate the marketing campaign, right? So we have created a model that has classified it into 5. You see we have 5 clusters, and all these 5 clusters give us a sense of what our data looks like. Just to recap, it's not a recap, but just to put it in perspective, if you're using an unsupervised machine learning model, it groups your, there's no reference to your output or your target variables. What you're doing is you either reducing the dimensions of your data, or you break them into groups, right? So that's the whole idea. So with K-means clustering, we set them up into groups. And with the groups, you see that we have different clusters, and different clusters for different spending behaviors, order behaviors, different behaviors in from the data, the analytics or the data we've collected from our e-commerce data set. So this is typically what the data scientist will be doing. However, you can see you're not going to be writing a lot of code and be bothered about a lot of things. You're just going to have access, sort of like a pipeline, to a massive amount of petabyte access to data, and at the same time, have access to your machine learning model, and you just run it in your notebook, and you can see how fast it goes. So you typically do a lot of stuff. Now, the final, I think with this, we are going to create and assign each customer to a cluster from the model, generate a summary statistics, and use Gemini to generate code to create a marketing campaign. Because the whole idea as a data scientist is that you're trying to solve problems, right? And so at the end of the day, you need to now, create something and give back to the stakeholders to say, this is how we can move our business and our bottom line, right? Now, for each cluster segment, we're going to have title, we're going to have a persona name, and we're going to have marketing next steps, right? So we now use this. So now we're going to be using Gemini. Now, as at the time of this, right, there's Gemini 2.5 Pro, but right now we have Gemini 3, which is, the state-of-the-art model. But here we can still have access to Gemini 2.5 Pro. We can have access to Gemini 2.5 Flash. We can have access to Gemini 2.5 Fast and all that. And what we will do is we're going to give it a prompt. See this prompt that says, you're a creative brand strategist. So we're giving it a task, and it's like a system instruction. And this system instruction is going to say, given the following clusters, right, create a brand persona, a catchy title, a next marketing action, explain step by step, identify the cluster name, the title of the name, and the persona for them, and the next marketing step. So that's what you're doing, right? This is basically, we're given, we're picking up the model, we're picking up the large language model, which is generative model, and we're giving it an instruction, and this is what you're going to do. Now, this type of instruction is called a system instruction, right? It's a system instruction, and it's going to do everything within that instruction. And there's also, you see that we give sort of like an example. So this is like a few shots example, like it could be for it to get started with. Then we also let it know. So this, all you see here from temperature, max output token, this basically tells it how it's going to do what it's going to do. It's going to tell it, is it going to guess? Is it going to be very creative? How much tokens is it going to use to do this, right? So depending on how much tokens, if you have a limited amount of tokens, so you don't want it to keep using tokens from your resources. So you're just going to determine the tokens and all. So this is what you're going to do. You also try to let it know, like temperature has 0.1 to 1. All this is a definition of how you want it to get stuff done, right? So I shared the documentation. So in that documentation, I'll also share it again. You'll see all the different ways you can tune these parameters and all what the implications of tuning these parameters and all. So with all this, right, we now click run. So it's going to give us a response. So it's going to break everything down into clusters. Like I told you, this is an instruction. So, and with this instruction, we also gave it examples on how it's going to give us a title, it's going to give us personas, and it will also give us next steps. So while that is going through that to generate what we want, just a little bit of time, it will be set. So we have it. Here we go. So you can see here we have, you can see that here we have the first cluster, which has this average spend, and it gives it a name. It calls it the curious clicker, right? And it gives it a persona. It tells it, meet Alex. 3 or 4 years ago, Alex was scrolling through social media and saw an ad for a brand intrigued but not fully committed. They clicked through, bought one of our entry-level products or a small item. The purchase was impulse. Let's just try it and see. Try it moment. The product was fine, but it didn't blow them away or become an essential part of their life. They used it, forgot about it, and never had a compelling to return. They don't have any negative opinions of us. They just simply don't have any opinion at all. So now all this response is driven, all this response you see that this response is pretty, elaborate. It's driven by all this. So all these things are driven by what the response, what is going to generate the generation config. So that's what it's doing. It's driven by all this. So again, so you see that there are different personas. Now with all these personas created, it's now going to give you a sense of all the breakdown of what you have in a breakdown of what we have, right? And so, yeah. So you can see there's cluster 3, there's cluster 4. It tells this one's the trophy hunter, premium buyer. So now with next steps, you can see with all their next steps, you can see that there are next steps. For the first person, there's a next step. Create a specific email and ad segment for this cluster, craft the offer, let them know what they, give them certain stuff that will get them intrigued about the product, right? For the second cluster, you'll see that there are next steps and all that's been created and all. So that's basically what it is. So if we click over here, you see that we've done the marketing campaign using Gemini. And then finally, we're just about done. Now, this is basically a best practice and it's optional, right? But when you're done with your within your Google Cloud Console in production environment, you need to remove some of these resources from your account as they will no longer be needed once the insight from the model is collected. So you don't want a situation where you just leave them there. Remember, over here, you have tokens. It is asked for tokens over here. So you can see, so you typically don't need a lot of all this hanging around. So you can remove the project, right? Or remove the individual resources, right? In order to avoid incurring charges for these resources. So what you could basically go into the Google Cloud Console. So in this place, you go to I am, then admin and manage resources. So which is over here. You go here. This is access management, right? Identity access management. So when you go there, you're supposed to go to admin. It's opening. So well, okay. Supposed to, where is that? We're supposed to go to admin. Just a second. Yeah. I am identity. Just the manage resources. Yes. Then we'll go over here. Manage resources. Right. So it's going to take us to everything we have going on. So you can see, and when we get in here, right, we'll just look at the one that has our ID. This is the one that has our ID. The ID is similar to this, our project ID. And we can click on this. And once we do that, we can, sorry. And then we can delete. Then we copy and paste our ID just to be sure it's us. And then we'll have that deleted, right? And and so it deletes the project. Also, you can clean up your resources to avoid any other charges. You can basically click up, do that. So avoid charges. You can delete the table in the lab by running the following in a new code cell. So you can see all this. You can just basically click on this, get into a new code cell, And you can see this is pending deletion. It's going to let you know when it's going to delete it. And or you can come to the BigQuery that we worked in and to what we're working on there, and basically have that deleted. So which is this? So if you can set this up, and if you run it and it is no longer there, you can see that unexpected error because it could not identify the client. So with that, we're done. Elizabeth says, can this video be downloaded from YouTube? So basically, it can be watched on YouTube. It's a live session. So I'll share the link to it for you, so you can. I'll put it in the group. Elizabeth, have you joined the Data Weekends group? The Data Weekends WhatsApp channel?
Community.
Have you?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I'll drop a link to it in the comments, so you can click on it and you can watch it there. You can watch it. It's live stream, so you see everything there. Right.
Okay, thanks.
You are welcome. So with this, we just end our lab. Our lab is done, and then submit the lab, and then that's it. So basically, what we had here was access to a bunch of things. Again, I shared this, so which means this is a documentation where you can read about Gemini Cloud. So you can see we have all this that we use: Gemini in BigQuery, Gemini in these are like guides and documentations to all of them that you can work with, right? And so if you click on all of them, you can see you can typically get to see how to work with all this, how to write code, how to analyze data, all that is in there, and how to also use that. So I'll also drop this. Again, I'm going to put all this in the comment section of, I'm going to put all this in the description in the live recording, because then it's going to be out there, so that by the time I share it, you're going to have access to all this, right? So yeah, but do we have questions? Questions, guys? All right. Just to confirm, how many of you have a Google Scale account? Were you able to create a Google Scale account? You could just indicate by just putting a thumbs up. If you're having difficulties opening it, okay, I see one. If you're having difficulties, please let me know. You can also drop it in the group and say, look, I'm having difficulties creating this account, and I don't have access. Yeah, that would help. That would make it easy for us to reach out. All right. Okay, guys. So first off, thank you so much for joining me on this long ride of where we saw what the possibilities are using Google Cloud services for data scientists, also using Google Cloud AI services for data scientists doing their everyday work. Yeah, lovely. Also, this gives you a glimpse, right? You can see that a lot of the things we did, you didn't need to, go search for your data set. Your data set is already there, and all you have to do is create a data set. And the possibilities are huge. You can see how fast we're able to iterate through, like in an hour. We're able to iterate through and do the data science workflow, and then get insights at the end of the day, right? So these are the possibilities we have using GCP, using BigQuery Studio, Gemini, the generative model, Gemini 2.5 Flash. We use Gemini 2.5 Pro. And now we have Gemini 3 and state-of-the-art model that can do a bunch of things. And so you see, for a data scientist, it's not far-fetched. You know what you're not doing is you're no longer having the Jupyter notebook in your on-prem, in your local device. You now have an enterprise Jupyter notebook that has access to a lot of stuff. And if you feel like you're lost at any point, you just generate, you can generate a prompt, right? You can see we gave it a system instruction prompt. And with that system instruction prompt, it was able to perform the task we wanted. We also gave it a few shots, which are examples to work with, and it was able to extract insights for us. Now you can speak to stakeholders and tell them, look, for us to go into our next campaign, we have different personas of buyers and users that come into our e-commerce platform. And you do that really quickly. And again, what you can also track your model while it's in production. So you see there's a lot of possibilities when you're using the Google Cloud Platform as a data scientist. And I mean, so you think about it. So please sign up on skills.google, pick up a part and start learning, right? And I think also what I'll do, again, I'll try as much as we can. Since we had a lot of people coming in this session, I'm also going to try and see if I can apply for credits. So once we come in for another session, we'll give access to credits for folks who are also in the session. That makes a lot of sense, right? So that we can just keep learning and testing. All right, guys, thank you so much for this session. We'll be seeing you next week, Sunday, right? While we do something else in the cloud and just keep improving ourselves so we'll become scalable data scientists, right? If you have any questions, please feel free to drop it in the group. I'll share a link to this session, so you can watch it over and over again. And also, again, I'll encourage you guys, when I drop it, I'll encourage you guys to interact with it. Please drop questions if you have questions, and I mean, we'll take it from there. All right, guys, thank you so much for this session. I appreciate, and I will see you next week.